Well, I believe America was built on the idea of a meritocracy, and those who add value reap the rewards, and those who add value reap the rewards.
The lack of self-awareness, these delusional boomers, never ceases to amaze me. I sometimes wonder if they even hear their own words coming out of their mouths when they talk. Dr. Phil believes America is a meritocracy, where those who add value are rewarded for it. Dr. Phil is obviously someone who's been handsomely rewarded for his career as a quote-unquote doctor. Let's see how much value his own doctor career has brought according to peers in his own profession. McGraw's advice and methods have drawn criticism from fellow psychotherapists and non-experts. McGraw's critics regard advice given by him to be, at best, simplistic, and at worst, ineffective or harmful. The National Alliance on Mental Illness called McGraw's conduct in one episode of his television show unethical and incredibly irresponsible. McGraw stopped renewing his Texas license to practice psychology in 2006. He has never had a license in California, where his show is taped. In 2002, the California Board of Psychology determined that because McGraw's television show was more about entertainment than psychology, McGraw did not need a license. Keep that last point in mind, dear viewer, as we'll be referencing it throughout the video. Dr. Phil recently had young Gen Z who, much like you and me, have seen that hard work is BS, where he supposedly roasts them. Let's take a listen.
That talks about don't want to work hard, don't want to put in the time, certainly enjoy the benefits of those that came before them who did put in hard work.
Oh, you mean like how every actual licensed psychologist and therapist out there put in the time and hard work to build the credibility of the mental health profession. Also, a guy like you without an actual psychology license can make millions sitting on his ass pretending to be a doctor on TV? Yeah, I actually completely agree with you there, Dr. Phil. Anyways, let's take a listen to his first guest on the show. And by the way, homegirl was straight up spitting facts.
At all. So you say you don't like a boss being able to control you at work or tell you what needs to be done?
Absolutely. It is so controlling, and they put out all of these fear tactics, and it's soul crushing. It's something that we are not meant to do as people here on this earth. We are not meant to work for our money. Money is something that can come towards us.
Now, you see everyone in the studio laughing with the typical condescending boomer attitude, but she's actually 100% right here. Who are the richest people in the world? People who don't actually work for their money. Dr. Phil himself is the perfect example. This guy doesn't even have a legitimate psychology license, but makes millions of dollars more than real psychologists. If hard work actually resulted in more money, construction workers would be richer than politicians.
What did you figure out?
I learned from people who were actually rich, millionaires, multimillionaires who wrote books. They put work in, yes, they put effort, but you do not have to put that much effort in. You are supposed to go towards what makes you happy. Corporate America does not care about their employees. You're saying go above and beyond, go do this, go do that. You even just said, I went above and beyond and I didn't get paid for it. That's exactly what I mean.
Now I just have to ask here, what part of anything she just said isn't true? Sure, it may not sound nice, and it's not what people want to hear, but is anything she said factually wrong? Absolutely not. The fact that she says you don't get paid for your efforts anymore isn't her opinion. It's a fact that can be verified by this chart right here, detailing how wages and productivity have not been correlated for over 50 years now.
I'm a social media influencer. I am going to be successful and I am going to make it, and I will never work a 9-to-5 in my life.
I just gotta say one thing here. You go, girl. Now you notice how when she says she's a social media influencer, Dr. Phil, and all the snarky boomers in the studio start turning up their noses. The term influencer definitely has gotten a bad rap these days, as just another way to throw shade on Gen Z, but being an influencer is nothing new. Celebrities have been using clout to push products since the dawn of Hollywood, long before social media existed. In fact, Dr. Phil once again is the perfect example. As again, on his own Wikipedia page, he admits he's not an actual licensed psychologist. His show is more about entertainment. Listen, I don't have any problem with being an entertainer seeing how I'm a content creator myself. What I do have a problem with is falsely representing yourself. If you don't even have a doctor license and you're purely an entertainer, then you need to drop the doctor label from your show and simply call it Phil. Or better yet, let's call him Influencer Phil from now on because that's what he really is.
But Ryan, what's going to happen if this is a passing fad and these people that now are young and they're more focused on work-life balance, but later they get married, they have kids, they have a mortgage, they have things they want to focus on, and they've created this record in social media and all of these posts where anybody in job recruitment or HR looks at it and says, that doesn't make him a very good candidate. I think I'll pass.
You sometimes just have to facepalm at how out of touch with reality influencer Phil and his fellow boomers are. Influencer Phil is really sitting up here talking about how Gen Z might regret posting something on social media when they later have kids and mortgage and a family to support. Does Influencer Phil not realize that his generation screwed up the economy so bad that most young people aren't going to ever have kids or a mortgage to begin with? Also, wouldn't you first secure a job before you have kids and a mortgage to pay for? How would it work that you'd first have a family and a mortgage before you even get a job? Then, after you were somehow able to afford to have kids and a house before you got a job, suddenly one day you wake up one day in your new house and you're like, oh shit, now I gotta apply for a job? Damn, I shouldn't have posted that on social media. And it's not like jobs are gonna hire you anyways in this economy, even if you don't post anything on social media. This whole take from Influencer Phil is just so nonsensical on so many levels. Influencer Phil really thought he was going to roast and expose Gen Z, but in the end, Influencer Phil was the only one who really got roasted and exposed. Anyways, that's enough Influencer Phil delusion and nonsense I can handle for one day. Let's move on to clowning the next delusion boomer, financial expert, Mr. Dave Ramsey.